Hello everyone, welcome back and thank you so much for stopping by. So my people, that this particular video I would love you guys to watch from Senator Abaribe. He really said a lot of things in this particular interview, especially the state of the nation. Like this Tinubu administration is really getting to everyone and people can no longer keep quiet, honestly. So he talks about this bill of anti-open grazing and why the Northerners are rejecting it. Like so funny, right? We are talking about the food insecurity, how to solve the problem, how can farmers, go back to the farm and start farming. But the Northerners, they don't want this bill of anti-open grazing. Their reasons are unbelievable, honestly. Like this country is indeed a joke. So Senator Abaribe also, talk about Nnamdi Kanu's release, the state they are right now. A lot of things in this particular video that he talks about. And also this Tinubu administration, you guys know that as of today, Tinubu has almost like 50 ministers, and most of them are Yorubas and Hausas. It's just like 4 or 5 ministers are from the southeast. This to show you that when you said they want Nigeria, I don't know where we are heading to, honestly. Let me not talk too much so that you guys can watch this video in full. But before then, if today is your first time here, please don't forget to subscribe, like this video, share it as well. So my people, let's go ahead and watch the video. I'm going to be right back.
I know that you're very particular about the security situation in the southeast. You recently met with the Attorney General, some senators, and I also know that governors also did same to secure the release of Nnamdi Kanu. And the reason is that his release could bring some sort of peace to the southeast. I don't know if there's been an outcome because the Attorney General is supposed to send a report to the president. I don't know if you have a feedback from that.
I think we don't have a feedback that we can share with the public because it's an ongoing conversation between the leaders of the Southeast and the federal government. The essential thing that the Southeast leaders at all levels, and both the clergy, the politicians, the traditional and all that, everybody knows at this moment that a legitimate concern or a legitimate agitation by those who are seeking for their rights within the country of Nigeria has been hijacked by those criminals and all those type of undesirables. And all that they have done is to impose mayhem on the Southeast. And at any point that you engage with any of those elements, all that they will tell you that, oh, because they are holding him, that is Nnamdi Kanu himself. And despite the fact that Nnamdi Kanu himself has said, I never authorized the sit at home, it should stop, nobody should kill anybody from the Southeast, yet this continues to go on. So we now know that the criminals are, hinging their peg on his incarceration to continue to perpetrate all this mayhem on the Southeast. And so what we feel really, and what everybody feels, is that if we have a political solution in which we are able to convince the federal government of the need, since everybody wants peace within this country, and if one part of the country is bleeding, every other part is also bleeding. There's the necessity so that you remove that rug from under their feet, which they are using. And so anyone who now continues to, murder people, do all manners of things, and then you now know that that's nothing but they are no longer going to use the flag of an agitation to cover it. That's why we are all very involved in it.
But is Mazi, I like to think that you've also spoken with Nnamdi Kanu on this. Is he in on what you're trying to propose to the federal government?
Well, him and his lawyers and everybody also, we briefed them before we go. So they are very well aware of our efforts.
One thing you've also talked about is the possibility of this mayhem continuing even after his release if the federal government obliges with the political solution that you've proposed, especially because he's spoken on several occasions to say that that is not what he stands for in the Southeast. And the people have continued to listen to Simon Ekpa instead. So what's the guarantee that when he is released, there's going to be some sort of peace, that the people will now listen to him, even though you've said that if the mayhem continues, the rug's been pulled from under their feet, and then the federal government can know that this is just pure perpetrators of evil, so to speak?
Well, the point really is this. If you have a wound, you stitch it, put medication. Is that not so?
Absolutely.
Fine. So we need to stitch the wound. And how do you stitch it? To stitch that wound, you have to remove that cut. And that cut is what they claim is his incarceration. Simon Ekpa himself, as far as I'm concerned, you could also see he has also pegged it on Nnamdi Kanu. So if Nnamdi Kanu is released, then he cannot make that argument anymore. You understand? So I think that we should focus on the most important thing, yes, which is to try our best to get the government to see with the leaders of the Southeast and what we think. What somebody who lives in Finland just continues to talk from there says it's not the feeling of the people of the Southeast.
And you're optimistic that those governments will listen, because the previous government did not take up this, did not accept the political solution.
The point is, what will a government do? A government that wants to bring peace will always listen to its citizens. And we are citizens of the country. We are leaders in that part of the country, and all of us have come together. We do not see the possibility that the government will reject outrightly. We think that the government will listen to the leaders of the Southeast. And don't forget that these leaders cut across all parties, cut across all spheres of people, cut across the traditional institutions and all that, and including members of the cabinet of Mr. President himself. So if all of us are on one page, I think that it's axiomatic that they will have a positive review of what you're asking for.
One thing is clear. There's almost a knowledge of what the security situation or the cause of the insecurity in the Southeast is. I don't know if, as a federal lawmaker, with your experience and conversations on security you've had, that Parliament is aware of the cause of insecurity or the persistent insecurity in the country in general, let's say excluding the Southeast.
Yes. The Parliament has, over the years, taken proactive measures. The Parliament has engaged with the security chiefs. The Parliament has always engaged with the government. The Parliament has also given its recommendations. The Parliament has had rallies. We have had security retreats. We have had there's absolutely so many tomes, volumes of reports that we have, which we submitted to government. And we have also continued to engage at all times. So we know that there are all these type of things, the question of what's going on in the Sahel region, question of what is happening everywhere. But we think that with a strong military, which we think Nigeria has, with the willpower of the president, which we think President Tinubu has, that the sky should be our limit. Nothing should stop us from dealing with this problem. We know that there is an an intermeshing of religious, ethnic, tribal, and all manners of things included there. But then, one thing I've always known is that everybody knows who is clear-eyed and straightforward about what needs to be done, and that should just be followed.
Now that you bring up religious and tribal meshings, as you put them, it takes me to the bill, the open grazing bill, the ban on open grazing bill, which has skilled second reading in the Senate. And you would know better, I'd like to think, because it's in place in Abia State. So how effective has that been? And how do you think that tribal or religious sentiments could affect the passage of this bill? And how will it be received by the herders specifically?
What baffles some of us, really, is that we see solutions, and then we pretend that we don't see that solution. The matter is very clear. There's nowhere in the world where people are left to roam everywhere. Nowhere in the world. The best cattle-producing countries in the world are done through ranching. The North, the landmass of the North, has more than enough land for ranching. And that, even Awolowo, may his soul rest in peace, set up ranches when he was a premier. So, this is not rocket science.
It seems like rocket science to the northern governors.
No, it's not. You see, the point really is, when you now engage them outside of the potencies of power, they tell you the truth. And so it behooves on the president and his cabinet and those who are involved to deal with this issue. Don't forget that the question of banditry, that the Sultan of Sokoto himself, at one time, under the when Buhari was president, said that 90% of all this banditry coming from this way, we are from the same Fulanis. He said it. It wasn't me that said it. So it's not like we don't know. You understand? Now, there is no earthly reason why somebody should come to Abia State and let his cattle roam in our farms as far south as Abia. In fact, last week, some youths from my own local government, Obingwa, in Abia State, my own local government, from a place called Abambato, they sent SOS to me that there were these herders with their, just killing, wiping out their farms, their crops, so far south. So, there is nowhere in the world that is done. And the sooner we get to grips with that, the better for everybody. Now, Malaysia is even bringing some type of alfalfa grass that can now thrive in semi-arid regions. So it's not grass. It's just people roaming around who want to, I will say, colonize a place, now take over people's lands. And until we are, I will say, truthful to each other, there's no way we can go beyond this mouthing whether it can be done or not. It was unfortunate that the Buhari government was the government that openly supported people who are not Nigerians. And, there was a funny part of our debate on the floor on that same ranching bill. When we said, okay, so everybody will go back to their states of origin. And some people got up and said, no, you cannot let, these people don't have a state of origin. If anybody don't have a state of origin in Nigeria, he's not a Nigerian. And that's what we have been saying all along. So, part of I will say good relations is that I will respect your rights and you will respect my rights as a citizen. There are some kind of arguments that are made which we find utterly ridiculous. So when somebody makes an argument and says that an Igbo spare parts dealer can operate anywhere in the country, of course, the Igbo spare part dealer buys his goods, rents a shop, stays in his shop, and does his business. You buy and sell. The Igbo spare part dealer does not carry an AK-47 to kill someone. So then somebody else is going around with his cattle, destroys your farm, kills you and your children and their wife and family, and then you tell me that no, he's free to do that. How can those two things be even compared?
I'm curious to ask you this question.
Yeah.
With what you say, it's almost an assertion. And as illegal as it is, are you aware of any prosecutions in this regard?
That is the point. And that is why most people are so bothered. Some people have been arrested. They are set free. People have been stopped from going somewhere. Why? Because at the end of the day, you go back to the security agencies, and the security agencies will tell you that their hands are tied. When some women came to me in my local government, all that we said, oh, please go to the DPO, because I cannot take laws into my hand. It is the security agents that are supposed to do it. And most states have passed those laws, but a state does not have its own security agency because they have to refer back to both the Nigerian police, Nigerian military, Nigerian Navy, Nigerian Air Force. So at the end of the day, there must be a clear-eyed determination by the governments in this country that the killing of Nigerians must stop, that the taking over of lands of Nigerians must stop, that the destruction of properties, farms and all that must stop, unless that is done. And how do you do it? That is why this question of saying, let everyone go back to where is their state of origin, establish ranches there. Look, there was a particular time that Governor Ganduje, who is now the chairman of APC, said at the time that there were all this debate about ranches, that Kano State alone has more than enough land for all the cow in Nigeria. He said so. And nobody has said, oh no, there are more cows in Botswana than in Nigeria. You know that. And the size of Botswana is the size of 2 states in the southeast. It's just a question of will. It's a question of our doing the right thing in the 21st century. There's no way anybody can assume that the way we lived in the 19th century is the way we're going to live today. It's just not going to be possible. We will always be having these conflicts if it's not dealt expeditiously.
So where does the president's proposed new ministry, livestock, come in? Do you think it's going to address food insecurity, or perhaps this farmers' heritage clash?
I have no idea about what the dimensions and the basin, because as much as it has been proposed, just an executive proposal, we have not seen any documentation. None of us in the National Assembly, if he has come, I haven't seen it yet, to say these are the things that the livestock ministry will do. These are their terms of reference. These are the areas that it will have to deal with. So until I see that, I'm not at liberty to comment. It is the prerogative of the president to create
a ministry.
What the Constitution says is that you must have at least one minister from a state. And of course, that is why we also, some of us from the Southeast, we say that these are the things that also are bringing up all this sense of alienation from the people of the Southeast. So you have, at the moment now, 50 ministries. Assuming you share it equally, or you do it equally, you probably is not going to have the type of anomaly we have, that out of 50 ministries, the Southeast has only 5, 1 per state. Yet, the Southwest has about 10, the other ones have about 9, and so forth. And so, the question has always been, this ethnicization of different things, does it augur well for the country? One of the essential things in dealing with people is always to try to be fair. And when people perceive that you're not fair, you cannot engender a sense of support from them. And so we think that as we look at all this, that as the president is going to revamp his cabinet, as we are hearing by rumors, I'm not very sure, that maybe there will be a juggling to make things fairer for everybody.
But when you talk about fairness, I know that under the Buhari administration, the Southeast complained about this, and this is the same thing.
I do not think so. Let me tell you what happened. It started from the Obasanjo administration. The Obasanjo administration had 37 ministers, 36 states, 1 each, and then went further to have 1 minister per zone. That's what happens to take care of zonal, I would say, interests. And that was maintained by all the presidents until President Buhari, President Tinubu now increased the number to 49. And from increasing it to 49, has now increased it to 50. So this is the first time that he has gone beyond.
I was asking about
one.
Fairness, comparing the fairness.
The question of fairness, let me just... well, the point about fairness is that, except for the President Obasanjo,
good luck,
Yaradua, and Jonathan, from President Buhari, what we have seen has been an ethnicization of the powers of the federal government. And of course, Buhari took it one step further. And what we have seen with the Tinubu government is also another step forward. It's not good for the unity of the country. If you now say that whenever anybody that comes from any state, any place comes into office, the first thing he will do is to appropriate everything to his area. So what are you telling the rest of the people? You know, statecraft is a very careful balancing act which you must try as much as possible to do. Well, the point is that the decision on what to do lies with the president.
Very well, then. I think another concern, which I think I've heard some members of parliament mouth, is the increase in the cost of governance at a time like this when, you know, Parliament itself is calling for the implementation of the Orosanye report. And that's a call that's been echoed by even civil society organizations. Then a new ministry. Is it a concern for you?
Yes, it is. In fact, it's not just for this. It's for the whole apportances of government. You know, one of the very, very difficult things that happens when you're in the public eye is that even when you say this is not right, everyone that wants to criticize you will just take it from an ethnic standpoint, or maybe you're supporting A or supporting B. You understand? And if you quote anybody, they will say, oh, you're quoting him because you like me. So I will take it this way. Donyo Okupe made some allusions to this. First, to say, maybe we're not understanding that we're on the Titanic, and while the ship is sinking at the bottom, we're still at the top floor, at the ballroom, dancing. And that was what happened. And before they knew it, the ship sank and everyone, except a few people, were left. I think it was Donyi that first said it. Then secondly, Peter Obi also mentioned something like that by saying, if you're in a hole, stop digging. We're a poor country. We are totally indebted everywhere. We are scrambling for more loans and all that. We can't live ostentatiously. And everyone knows that. Yet, we seem not to even look at that and so we are doing this, we are doing that, we are buying a plane, we are giving cars to people, we are creating more things. I mean, anybody who, let's say you're a businessman, you want to go and borrow from a bank, and you drive to a bank in a Rolls Royce, what do you think the bank manager will do? You're driving a Rolls Royce when you don't have enough money to fuel it. Why do you have to drive a Rolls Royce? You understand? And I think that that's exactly what is going on now. So maybe we need to take a step backwards and ask ourselves several things. Is the way we are living the right way? What is going on today? Is that the best way for us? The unfortunate thing that we have today in Nigeria is that even well-intentioned criticisms that are meant to guide us aright, that are meant to take our ship away from the rock that is in front of us, are dismissed as partisan politics, and then, that is very disheartening.
Listen, that's a concern for some, drawing from what you've said. And I also know that the Senate debated the rising food cost in the country. And if you see the rising cost of living in the country, people now begin to turn to Kenya to say, is Nigeria, as the political class, as the federal government, not learning anything from what's happening in Kenya?
Well, the unfortunate thing is that we seem not to learn from history. It's not just that it happened here under NSAS, and it can happen again. And we continue to say it. But those of us who say it are saying, don't mind them, is opposition. What do you expect them to say? But I'm also using this opportunity to plead with the federal government. We need to reverse the way we are going. We just seem to act as if there is no problem. Whereas, we can walk on the street. Everyone is suffering in a way or the other. And those of us who have access to our people, because our people have access to us, we see it on a daily basis. The pressures are mounting, and it will explode one day. There's absolutely no way you can continue to keep a people down. And the best way is for the government to listen to the people.
As we look towards some of these adjustments that need to be made to positively affect lives, there are concerns regarding the constitutional amendment process that is ongoing in National Assembly now, and questions around how important some of these amendments are. I'd like to start off with the state creation bills that are before the National Assembly. I'd like to get your thoughts specifically if the timing for state creation at this point is pertinent enough.
Well, the point really is this. What do the people want? You know, part of what those of us, some of us who are supposed to be in privileged position, what do the people really want? Do they want, if they want more states, then we should find a way of giving it to them. If it is not feasible at this time, then you should also come out and say, for this reason, A, B, C, D.
Does the creation of new states stretch the resources of the country?
Obviously, it's going to stretch the resources, but then management of your resources is the problem. I don't think, let's just put it. Do we really need everyone? Let me just put it, that is in the national and state and all that. Do we really need all these vehicles? Ask yourself, do we need new houses, this, that? Do we need new jets that we are buying? Do we need a yacht? Do we, you know, we just have to sit out and ask ourselves. You know, I continue to watch the Kenya situation and look at what the president did. Seeing the way his own people have said, no, we don't want all this. So he, on his own, scrapped all these things. And even is in the process of rejigging and, you know, revamping his cabinet. What I'm saying is this. The Constitution of Nigeria does not recognize the office of the wife of the president. It's not in the Constitution. Or office of the wife of governor. Yet, we made appropriation for it, which is illegal. We're not supposed to make appropriation for an office that does not exist. So, we do these things, and we just do them with some casual...
The thing is, you know, hearing this from a federal lawmaker,
yeah,
whose responsibility it is to check these excesses,
yeah,
would be quite concerning for some persons.
Precisely.
Is the National Assembly handicapped in this?
Well, the point really is that National Assembly operates by votes. And so I can make my own contribution and say, this is unnecessary. And if people vote and say that's what they want, you understand, it passes. So at the end of the day, that's why I say that it's a collective responsibility for all of us. As a president, should you bring an appropriation for an office which the Constitution does not recognize? You start from there before you now come to say whether the National Assembly approved or didn't approve. You may not get what you want in a democracy because, like they say, the minority will have their say, but the majority will have their way.
So my people, that is it. I hope you guys heard what Senator Abaribe said in this particular video. I think he spoke the minds of many Nigerians, especially for the Igbos anyway. So I would love you guys to leave your thoughts in the comment section about this interview and what he said here. And also, please, if today is your first time, just as I said before, by supporting me, please subscribe, like this video, share it as well. Thank you everyone that be sharing my video. I truly, truly appreciate you all. May Almighty God bless you all. So my people, I'm going to leave you guys here till my next update. Thanks so much for watching and goodbye for now.